Buzz Lightyear mission log, stardate 3901. After a full year of being marooned, our first hyperspeed test flight is a go.
Who are you talking to?
No one.
I want to know, how did you come up with the idea of making Lightyear?
Well, I always liked Buzz Lightyear, the character, and been connected to Buzz Lightyear since I started at the studio in 1999. No, 97. Oh, 2 more years. All right. I've always liked the character and been drawn to him, and had kept revisiting versions of Buzz throughout my career, from the second Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story 2 to the mini Buzz in Small Fry. I have always been interested in that character. And so I'd always wondered about the backstory of what the Space Rangers were, what Star Command was, what adventures did they get in, what would Zurg actually be like. All of those things were based around my love of sci-fi, and Galyn also shares that love. And so for me, when I was trying to figure out what project to do after Finding Dory, when I realized what I wanted to do was like what I was most interested in as a fan, was sci-fi movie. And so by doing a sci-fi movie, it was like, why don't we just do that? I know we don't usually make that kind of straightforward action adventure movie at Pixar, but what if we just did it? That sounds like fun. Let's do that.
I know you have been working on this project for a long time. So which challenges did you face?
Well, the challenge first and foremost is make the audience care about Buzz. Like, why do we care about his journey? How are we emotionally connected to him? We can make all sorts of exciting spaceships and lasers and robots and stuff like that, but how are we emotionally connected to the character? And that's something we worked very hard at, giving the audience an insight into his emotional state, and not just telling them how he was feeling, but have them experience the loss, have them experience the heartbreak, and have them experience the bad choices that Buzz initially makes and the good choices he makes later on in the film that represent his change.
Okay, and what about you, Galyn? Which challenges did you face as a producer?
Well, moving an entire production to everybody distributed their homes, 500 people over the course of the few years. That was probably the biggest challenge for sure.
And Angus, which were your main sources of inspiration for the conceptual art of the movie?
I don't have a main source. Just the way that my mind works is it just collects inspiration and information and stuff that I think is cool, and all of the inspiration, all of the visual stuff of the film is just an amalgam of everything I've ever thought was cool. So in the way that as children, we will tend to draw together and describe, oh yeah, make the spaceship with extra fins and put lasers on it. There's that sense of excitement that you have as a kid. And that's what it was like making this film with the other artists. Is like, okay, you know, it'd be really cool. Zurg is a robot, and one of the arms turns into a blaster, and then he's got to have these big fins, and he's got to have these wires coming from his head. From there, we would pull in influences from both NASA and sci-fi of the past, but we didn't want to make anything that felt like it was derivative. We really wanted to make it be its new special thing, even though it had clear influences.
Okay, and I think we need to talk about Chris Evans. Galyn, what made him the right person to voice Buzz Lightyear?
He's just got such a breadth of talent. You know, he obviously does heroic very well, but he's really good at being vulnerable and emotional. And
was he always the first choice?
Oh, he was the first, only choice, actually.
And how was the process of creating this new version of Buzz Lightyear with Chris?
Well, it was great. We pitched in the movie, and he was really excited about it from the first pitch. And then I told him very specifically that he wasn't going to be doing an impersonation of what Tim Allen had done. I wanted him to make his own thing. And then we would show him the scenes of what we had, and we would just experiment and find that voice. And he would try it out, and we would go back and work on it. But quickly, like, we hired him, and we knew based on what he'd done before, what he could bring to it. And what was exciting was just his initial impression was completely usable and awesome. And then it was just dialing in like levels. Like when he does the Buzz Lightyear mission log, he gets a little bit more like this. And when he's pleading with his best friend, he's a little bit higher like this.
I had the opportunity to see the movie, and I really love the chemistry between Buzz and the new characters, especially Socks. So how do you come up with the idea of making a partner like him?
Well, the cute thing is something that's in every movie, even horror films or dramas. There's always a cute thing. And so we wanted to embrace that early on and find something that felt was new and interesting. And there was a lot of animatronic animals for whatever reason when I was growing up. Like, and it never fooled me. I never thought it was a real animal, but I always kind of loved them for being these kind of dopey, funny other things. These robots that are a little bit softer, but are still, they have this limitation of this funny movement. And I think their movement is really funny. So it's more of an animation joke. Like, how do you have a limited character with limited animation? Wall-E is a limited character with limited animation, and he has a lot of charm. And it's a character I like working with very much. And so I've been drawn to those kind of characters as an animator. And I knew we needed some contrast in this film to have a character that would move in a funny way that wouldn't undercut the drama of the scene.
Well, we will meet again with Zor. Did you always consider Zor as the only villain of this movie?
Yeah, I think Zurg needed to be the villain of this movie because that's the audience expectation. Like the coming into the movie, like, what do you know? What do you want to get? You want to get Buzz has a laser and wings, and he's going to fight Zurg. Like, that's you need to give that to the audience. In fact, Buzz Zurg is the obligatory scene that if you don't have that in the movie, you're not like, that's not a Buzz Lightyear movie. You need that.
And Galyn, what can you tell me about the differences between the Zor that we all knew and this new version of the movie?
Well, we don't want to have any spoilers out there, so no. But Zurg, just in Toy Story or in Toy Story 2 when he's introduced, though he is the personal antagonist of Buzz, just like Buzz is not the protagonist of the story, Zurg is not the primary antagonist of the story, right? It's a different story. It's Woody's story, and he's facing different antagonists. So in our story, just as we needed to make Buzz the protagonist of his own movie, we needed to develop Zurg into something that was a fully well-rounded and worthy antagonist that would challenge Buzz in the way that he needed to be challenged. Buzz's issue is that he's not asking for help. He's not engaging in the present. He's not working with his team. And he needed an antagonist who was going to put that flaw right in his face.